I notice the moment I step through my parents' front door something's off. The air feels charged, like the stillness before a thunderstorm. Mom's smile stretches too wide as she takes my coat. Dad's handshake is a touch too firm. My brother Finn practically vibrates with excitement, his eyes darting between our parents with that conspiratorial gleam I've known since childhood. Leo, darling, so glad you made it. Mom guides me toward the dining room where Sunday dinner awaits, her hand pressing against my back with unusual insistence. The table looks perfect, of course. Mom's best silverware, the crystal glasses that only appear for special occasions, a centerpiece of freshly picked wildflowers. Whatever this is, they've planned it carefully. I take my usual seat across from Finn, whose smile reminds me of when he was 7 and knew I was about to sit on the whoopee cushion he'd hidden under my chair cushion. Dad slices the roast with practiced precision, while Mom distributes mashed potatoes, green beans, and those homemade biscuits I've loved since childhood. That's when I spot it. A manila folder tucked beside Dad's plate, its corner peeking out from under his napkin. My stomach tightens. How's the workshop? Mom asks, her voice artificially bright. Still working those crazy hours? Business is good. I keep my answer simple, watching Dad's eyes flicker toward the folder. We've increased our orders by 20% this quarter. Finn snorts softly. All those guitars, but such a tiny display room. Someone should really handle your client relations. The pieces click together in my mind. A puzzle I wish I couldn't solve. Dad clears his throat, setting down his fork with a deliberate clink against the fine china. Leo, we've been thinking about the future of your workshop. I freeze mid-bite, the food turning to sawdust in my mouth. Mom jumps in smoothly, as if they've rehearsed this. Family businesses need family management, dear. Your father and I have been discussing how to keep fine craftsmanship in the family long term. It's not a family business, I say carefully. I built it myself. With our support, Dad counters, reaching for the folder. And now Finn has an excellent proposal that will benefit everyone. My brother straightens in his chair, practically preening. I've worked up a business plan to become your brand manager. I'd handle all the boring networking stuff while you focus on building. He leans forward, eyes gleaming. I'm only asking for a 25% profit share, which is really reasonable considering all the growth I'll bring. My heart pounds in my ears. This isn't a casual Sunday dinner, it's an ambush. Memories flood back unbidden. Double shifts at the hospital cafeteria during my apprenticeship, sending money home to help Finn through his freshman year of college while I ate beans on toast in a one-room apartment with furniture rescued from curbsides. Midnight study sessions after 14-hour bench rotations. The $187,000 in student loans that still drain my checking account each month. I already have a business manager, I say, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. Mom waves her hand dismissively, but Finn is the real people person. Remember how he charmed Mr. Harrison at your workshop opening? He barely noticed you were there. I remember. Just like I remember Dad dismissing my master's degree. Book smarts don't build businesses, Leo, he said while photographing Finn in my graduation cap and gown. I remember Finn's temporary help with the website last summer that resulted in unauthorized discounts to his friends. The weeks I spent apologizing to customers after his communication mix-ups left some waiting hours and others turned away entirely. May I see what you've prepared? I ask, nodding toward the folder. Dad slides it across the table with a satisfied smile. It's already been drawn up by my attorney. Just needs your signature. I can start tomorrow. Finn claps his hands together. I already have ideas for redecorating your showroom. I take a deliberate sip of water, then set the glass down precisely on its coaster. With slow, measured movements, I reach for my own briefcase, resting beside my chair. Before we discuss this further, I say, there's something you should see. In the weighted silence that follows, I unlock my briefcase with a click that echoes like a gunshot. My father's confident smile falters, as I withdraw a leather portfolio. The expensive one I splurged on after landing the contract with Rockfield Records, a silent reminder of successes achieved without their help. What's this? Dad's voice holds the faint tremor of a man unaccustomed to surprises. Mom glances nervously between her husband and Finn, her fingers fidgeting with her napkin. Finn's smile, so triumphant moments ago, begins to wilt around the edges as I carefully arrange my documents on the table, aligning them with the precision I bring to a new build. 3 weeks ago, I signed a management services agreement with Colorado Artisan Partners. I tap the top page where their corporate logo sprawls across the letterhead. They're managing all administrative aspects of Leo's luthier going forward. Dad reaches for the papers, his brow furrowed. You can't make decisions like this without consulting family. Actually, I can. I slide another document toward him. I've highlighted section 4.3 for your convenience. No family members may be employed in management positions without unanimous board approval. The board consists of myself and 2 partners from CAP, as well as an independent consultant. Finn's face flushes crimson. You did this on purpose. I made a business decision. I maintain eye contact with my brother, refusing to look away first. One based on previous experience. From my portfolio, I extract a folder containing customer complaint forms, all meticulously organized by date. These are from last summer when you helped with the website. I don't need to open it, the thickness speaks volumes. 15 order errors resulting in double-booked restoration rooms. 23 unauthorized discounts, including 8 to your bandmates. 31 billing code errors that nearly triggered a tax audit. Mom reaches across the table, her fingers stopping just short of touching mine. Leo, honey, everyone makes mistakes when they're learning. These weren't learning mistakes. I stand slowly, finding unexpected power in towering over my seated family. These were careless mistakes made by someone who thought rules didn't apply to him. I withdraw another document, this one created by my accountant. This itemizes the $42,000 in free instruments provided to this family over the past 3 years. Dad's acoustic guitar restoration. Mom's antique ukulele repair. Finn's custom electric bass before his beach vacations. The stunned silence feels like vindication. Their expressions shift from entitled certainty to uncomfortable shock. While I covered your instrument needs, I was eating beans on toast to make my student loan payments. I worked double shifts at the hospital cafeteria to help fund Finn's freshman year. When you said you couldn't afford both our educations simultaneously, I lock eyes with my father. I slept on my workshop floor when I couldn't afford both rent and business insurance. My phone buzzes with a text. I glance down to see my shop manager's message. Did you tell them yet? The timing couldn't be better, a reminder that I'm not alone anymore. My staff witnessed Finn's summer of chaos, staying late to fix his mistakes while he posted Instagram photos from rooftop happy hours. They know the truth behind the Bennett family dynamics. My mentor warned me years ago that family and business mix like oil and water, I say. Remembering Dr. Davis's concerned expression when he caught me crying in the supply closet after Dad missed my workshop's grand opening. I should have listened sooner. I gather my documents with deliberate precision, sliding them back into my portfolio in the exact order they'll be needed if this conversation escalates further. The methodical movement calms me, just like when I organize tools before a difficult build. We can negotiate. Dad's voice has lost its authoritative edge, replaced by the tone he uses when a business deal starts slipping away. 20% instead of 25%, a trial period. I close my portfolio with a snap. My workshop isn't your piggy bank, it's my career. Mom's hand flies to her throat, a dramatic gesture she's perfected over years of family conflicts. I never thought you'd put business before family, she whispers. The statement hangs between us, revealing everything wrong with their perspective. In their minds, my success exists to benefit them. My workshop represents not my achievement but their opportunity. I'm not putting business before family, I reply, my voice steadier than I feel inside. I'm putting boundaries before exploitation. Finn pushes back from the table, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor. You've always been so dramatic, Leo. Acting like you did everything yourself when we've always supported you. Supported me? I raise an eyebrow. When exactly? Was it during my graduation when Dad was taking photos of you in my cap and gown? Or when Mom told Mr. Harrison I was just the technical person at my own workshop opening? The memories surface like air bubbles in water, quick, sharp, impossible to stop once they start rising. Remember my 12th birthday when I got a card while Finn received a new laptop for his graphic design? Or my master's recital where no family members attended because Finn had a cold? I zip my briefcase closed. Your support has always been conspicuously absent when it mattered. Dad stands now too, his height no longer intimidating as it was throughout my childhood. You've changed, Leo. Success has made you cold. No. I meet his gaze without flinching. Success has made me visible, and you don't know what to do with a son you can't ignore. I lift my briefcase from the chair, surprised by how light it feels compared to the weight I've carried for years. For the first time since entering their house, I take a deep breath that doesn't hurt my chest. I'll see myself out. I turn toward the door, then pause. Oh, and starting next month, family repairs and builds will be billed at standard rates. Our charity program is reserved for young musicians who can't afford instruments, not those who simply prefer not to pay. Behind me, I hear my mother's shocked intake of breath, my father's muttered curse, and Finn's theatrical sob. But for once, their reactions don't pull me back into the familiar dance of appeasement. I step out into the evening air, where my phone buzzes with another message from my shop manager, "We're all here for you." And for the first time in my life, I truly believe it. That night at my apartment, memories flashed back. My 12th birthday falls on a Tuesday in April, unremarkable except for the blueprint I perfected, and the single card propped against my cereal bowl that morning. 2 weeks later, Finn turns 10 and receives a gleaming new laptop with a stylus and a subscription to design software. I watch from our front porch as he creates digital art, our parents clapping with each new design. "Leo, take a picture of your brother?" Dad calls, tossing me his camera. This is a milestone. I angle the viewfinder to capture Finn's beaming face, his hair catching sunlight as Dad studies the screen. Mom waves a handkerchief like she's sending off royalty. "Remember when I got my first computer?" I ask later, helping Mom with dishes while birthday cake crumbs still dot the kitchen table. She pauses, sponge suspended. "You were a practical child, Leo. You always wanted tools instead. But I hadn't. I'd circled computers in catalogs for 3 years running. Master's graduation brings academic honors, valedictorian, design medal, full academic scholarship to Colorado State. The auditorium buzzes with proud parents, clutching bouquets and cameras. Mine arrived 7 minutes after my speech, slipping into back row seats as I returned to mine. Traffic was terrible, Mom whispers when they find me afterward, empty-handed. But we're here for Finn's art show tonight. You're coming, right? The pattern repeats through college. My Dean's List certificates arrived by mail at our family home while I worked double shifts at the hospital cafeteria. The envelopes remained sealed on the kitchen counter for weeks. When my Luthier School graduation finally arrives, I stand alone after the ceremony until Finn waves from across the quad. "There you are." He grabs my mortarboard. "Dad wants pictures of me in this. You don't mind, right?" For 20 minutes, I watch my parents photograph my brother wearing my hard-earned cap. Their backs to my honors cords and the diploma case clutched in my hands. "Book smarts don't build businesses, Leo," Dad says later, returning my cap without meeting my eyes. For years after graduation, I'm hunched over my laptop at midnight, the workshop dark except for my office light. Loan statements glare from the screen, $187,000 remaining, the monthly payments larger than my rent. Meanwhile, I've just transferred $1,200 to Finn for his temporary housing crisis following his 4th job change in 2 years. My own apartment remains furnished with roadside rescues, a coffee table with uneven legs, a sofa that smells faintly of previous owners no matter how much I clean it. The sound of my stomach growling echoes in the empty workshop. The bank manager's voice still rings in my ears from that morning's appointment. "Without a cosigner or additional collateral, Mr. Bennett, we simply can't approve this business expansion loan." I'd nodded politely, tucking the rejection letter beside the others in my bag. Not mentioning that my parents had refused to co-sign but had purchased Finn a new car the previous month because he needs reliable transportation for interviews. The workbench becomes my bed that night. I curl onto the dusty vinyl, wrapping myself in a shop blanket after 16 hours of back-to-back appointments followed by paperwork. The cleaning crew finds me there at 5 a.m., still clutching spreadsheets. 6 months later, when Leo's Luthier finally opens in its own space, not just a rented room in someone else's studio, my parents stop by for 15 minutes between Finn's exhibition and their dinner reservation. "It's nice," Mom says, glancing at her watch, "like a real studio." Dad peers at my framed credentials. "Just remember, it's always about the people, not the degrees." They leave before the small reception begins, missing the champagne toast from my 3-person staff and the ribbon-cutting photo for the local business journal. The summer Finn decides to help out with the website becomes a professional nightmare. His friends receive unauthorized discounts while regular customers find their orders rescheduled or canceled entirely. Client forms pile up unprocessed until late-night hours when I discover them stuffed into desk drawers. "They were so boring," Finn explains when confronted. "Besides, they're just old people with old instruments. They don't have anywhere important to be." After he leaves, I spend weeks making personal calls to every affected customer, rebuilding trust, one apology at a time. The turning point comes unexpectedly during a meeting with an instrument dealer's representative. The stern-faced woman across my desk has rejected our previous 3 claim submissions. "Mr. Bennett, your documentation simply doesn't meet our standards for..." I slide a folder across the desk, interrupting her practiced rejection. "These are revised protocols I developed, specifically addressing your guidelines. I've cross-referenced each repair code with your latest manual." Her eyebrows rise as she flips through the meticulously annotated pages. "You did this yourself?" "Every night for 3 weeks. Her assessment is blunt. "Most builders just argue or give up." 3 days later, the dealer approves our entire claims backlog. Within months, musician referrals increase as word spreads about our exceptional documentation and outcomes. The first profitable month arrives after 2 grueling years. I stare at the accounting software late one night, verifying the numbers 3 times before allowing myself to believe them. No one is there to celebrate with me, but for once, the silence feels like power, rather than abandonment. I realize something profound as I lock up that night. My invisibility has become my superpower. While my family focused on Finn's charm and social connections, I built something substantial in the shadows. The skills I developed through years of self-reliance, persistence, precision, strategic thinking now serve as the foundation for my growing business. Alex Morgan, my business manager, proves this theory when she declines a corporate position, offering significantly more money to stay with Leo's Luthier. They don't value people like you do, she tells me, tearing up the offer letter. I've worked in this industry for 30 years, Leo, what you're building here is special. When Finn's communication disasters create chaos, my staff stays late without complaint, ordering pizza and tackling the backlog together. We've got this, Carlos, my lead artisan, assures me as midnight approaches. Your brother's interesting, but we're a team. Every Friday morning, our staff meeting begins with each person sharing both challenges and victories from the week. Every voice matters, the cleaning staff included, a stark contrast to family gatherings where my input was routinely dismissed or interrupted. The call from Denver Conservatory's music director comes on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. We've been watching your outcomes data, he says without preamble. Our orchestral department wants to discuss a specialized instrument partnership. That evening, we gather in the workshop after hours, not for emergency rescheduling but for celebration. 9 people now, instead of the original 3, toasting with plastic cups and grocery store cake. To Leo, Alex calls out, who saw possibilities while everyone else saw limitations. In the quiet after everyone leaves, I gently lift my first business license from its frame, tracing the embossed seal with my fingertips. Tomorrow, I'll rehang it in the expanded reception area. A reminder that being overlooked sometimes allows you to build foundations no one expects to stand. 6 weeks after the confrontation, at work, my corner office offers a panoramic view of Denver's skyline, though I've positioned my desk to face the workshop floor instead. Through the glass wall, I watch Meredith guide Mrs. Hoffman through her post-stroke exercises. Meredith's patience mirrors what I strive for with every patient, something my family never understood about healing. The contrast between my modest office and our state-of-the-art workshop isn't accidental. While customers deserve cutting-edge equipment, I've learned to function perfectly well with a second-hand desk and simple chair. Every dollar saved is reinvested where it counts. I straighten the original Leo's Luthier sign mounted on my wall, salvaged when we expanded last month, from 3 treatment rooms to 15. From me alone to a team of 15 therapists who share my vision of patient-first care, my phone vibrates for the 3rd time today, Mom again. I silence it without looking at the message. It will be like yesterday's and the day before, just checking in, honey, with a thinly veiled question about workshop operations, or a subtle mention of Finn's latest unemployment crisis. The calls increased after I refused their dinner invitations for 6 consecutive weeks. Mom cycles between guilt, we never see you anymore, and false business interest. Have you considered offering discounts to senior communities? Dad attempted to contact my accountant directly last week, thankfully warned by my advance call explaining the situation. Their most desperate move came yesterday, when Finn appeared unannounced during our busiest afternoon, waving a folder of incredible marketing ideas that miraculously required his full-time employment to implement. Mark, my front desk manager, followed protocol exactly, offered him a seat in the waiting room and called me immediately. I didn't interrupt my client's session. The afternoon sun warms my face as I open my laptop, reading the email I've drafted, deleted, and rewritten 14 times. It's measured, precise, and absolutely necessary. To my family, as I have already told you, after careful consideration, I'm establishing professional boundaries regarding Leo's Luthier. The workshop remains closed to family employment or management input. All instrument services will be billed at standard rates. Business discussions are limited to my management team. I remain open to rebuilding our personal relationship, separate from my professional life. Leo. My finger hovers over send as my office door opens. Carol, my shop manager, appears with 2 steaming mugs. Thought you might need reinforcements, she says, placing a coffee beside my laptop. I saw the social media post. I raise an eyebrow. Carol slides her phone across my desk. There's my mother's Facebook profile, featuring a photo from my workshop's opening day 3 years ago. Mom stands beside me, arm around my shoulder, a rare moment of apparent support I now recognize was performative. So proud of my son Leo's vision with Leo's Luthier. We've always believed in his skillful hands. #proudfamily #familybusiness. The timestamp shows it was posted 20 minutes ago. The hashtag is interesting, Carol says carefully. #familybusiness. The words taste bitter. I click send on my email. They've never paid $1 toward this workshop. Never worked an hour here. Never believed it would succeed until it did. Community's noticing the disconnect. Carol says. Dr. Reynolds mentioned it last week when he referred that complex restoration case. I look up, surprised. Said he always sends clients here because you built something genuine, not handed down or gifted. Carol taps my original business license frame. Said he appreciates how you acknowledge your team instead of bragging about your background. The staff meeting last Friday returns to mind, where I credited our growth to the team's dedication rather than my own vision. I'd noticed Finn's friend Kimberly in the waiting room during the meeting, phone suspiciously angled toward our gathering. Which reminds me, I say, pulling up another email, the scholarship fund is approved starting next semester. We'll support 2 young artisans with demonstrated financial need. Carol smiles. Your mother called that wasteful charity when she overheard us discussing it. Exactly why it matters. I stand, stretching tired muscles. Any news from the accountant about their latest inquiry? Your father tried charm, then intimidation. Eventually left when Denise mentioned potential harassment charges. Carol's expression softens. There's something else. She pulls a handwritten note from her pocket. Your mother stopped by during lunch. When I explained you were at the Children's Hospital Clinic, she left this. The envelope bears my name in Mom's perfect cursive. Inside, tear-stained paper contains desperate pleas about family misunderstandings and missing my son. The final line requests a family meeting to heal old wounds at their house. Naturally, on their terms. My phone chimes with a text from Finn. Miss you, big bro, can we talk? Just us? Carol watches me process these latest maneuvers. Your father's letter arrived in yesterday's mail too. Very formal, suggesting family mediation with his attorney present. I laugh without humor. The tables have turned. Their friends are asking questions. Community members are noticing discrepancies between their claims and reality. Through the window, I watch 2 artisans I hired from disadvantaged backgrounds, guiding young apprentices with the skill and compassion I'd fostered in our workshop culture. The afternoon sun illuminates our expanded workshop floor, built from my vision, my labor, my persistence, despite years of family dismissal. What will you tell them? Carol asks. I place the note in my desk drawer, joining other manipulative family communications I've documented meticulously. When they're ready for a relationship that doesn't involve exploiting my success, I say, I'll listen. Until then, my priority is protecting what I've built. In the waiting room beyond my office, I notice a familiar face, one of Finn's friends who received unauthorized discounts last year. Today, he waits patiently, with his wallet in hand, and respect in his expression where entitlement once lived. The facade is crumbling. Finally, 2 weeks later, the morning air carries the scent of fresh coffee and possibility as I arrive at Cornerstone Cafe 20 minutes early. My chosen battlefield, neutral territory, with just enough ambient noise for privacy without isolation. I select a corner table with clear sightlines to both entrances and settle into the chair facing the door. Old habits from years of watching for their approval. I arrange my leather portfolio precisely in front of me, its weight reassuring. Inside rests every text, email, and financial record documenting our entangled history. Evidence collected not with malice, but with the same methodical care I apply to a new build. Can I get you something while you wait? The barista approaches with a genuine smile, notepad ready. Just black coffee, thank you. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. The ceramic mug arrives moments later, steam rising like the tension in my chest. Through the window, I spot them walking from the parking lot. Dad's shoulders square beneath his golf polo, Mom fidgeting with her pearl necklace, Finn's confident stride betrayed by his nervous glances at our parents. They've coordinated their outfits in cream and tan tones, a united front. The bell above the door chimes as they enter. The moment they spot me, their expressions shift subtly. Dad's jaw tightens. Mom's smile freezes. Finn's eyes narrow at the portfolio before me. Leo, honey. Mom reaches to hug me, but I remain seated, forcing her to awkwardly pat my shoulder instead. This is cozy. We would have preferred dinner at home. Dad says, settling into the chair opposite mine. Family matters should be discussed privately. This isn't just a family matter. I tap my finger on the portfolio. This concerns my business. Finn slides into the chair beside Dad, his cologne overwhelming the coffee aroma. We brought muffins from that bakery you like. He pushes a paper bag toward me that I don't touch. A waitress appears, takes their order, and disappears with practiced efficiency. The moment she's gone, Dad leans forward, hands clasped on the table. Blood is thicker than water, Leo. His voice drops to that authoritative tone he used when I missed curfew at 17. Family stands together, especially in business. Mom reaches across to squeeze my wrist. We've always been proud of you, sweetie. Always. Your father and I tell everyone about our brilliant son, the luthier. Doctor of Arts, Finn adds, with surprising accuracy before launching into his rehearsed speech. Speaking of which, I've been thinking about our last conversation, and I realize I came on too strong, so I've drafted a new proposal. He produces a sleek tablet from his purse. A consulting arrangement, instead of management. 3 days a week, better social media presence, corporate client outreach. I take a deliberate sip of coffee, letting the bitter warmth fortify me. Before we discuss any proposals, there's something you should know. The Hendersons asked me an interesting question at their anniversary party last weekend. The mention of our family friends causes all three to stiffen. They congratulated me on my family partnership and asked when you'd all joined my practice. I opened the portfolio, revealing a neatly organized collection of papers. They seemed surprised when I told them you weren't partners in my business. Dad's face flushes. We never said. I have screenshots of your Facebook posts mentioning our clinic and the family practice. I slide the printed pages toward him. And text messages from the Wilsons asking about the family business your mother mentioned at Bridge Club. Mom's face pales. Leo, it's just expressions of pride. Is it? I withdraw another document. This is Dr. Reynolds' email asking why Dad contacted him about partnership opportunities for the workshop. The silence stretches between us, punctuated only by the hiss of the espresso machine and murmured conversations from nearby tables. You've been watching us? Finn's voice carries a note of betrayal, as if I'm the one who violated trust. I've been paying attention. I meet his gaze steadily. The same attention I've given to building my practice while you were telling your friends they could get free instruments. Dad attempts to seize control of the conversation. We're getting sidetracked. We're here to discuss Finn's role. Finn will have no role in my workshop. The words come out with a calm certainty that surprises even me. Neither will you or Mom. Leo, Mom's hand flies to her throat. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done? I extract a spreadsheet from my portfolio. Here's an itemized list of the free instruments I've provided to this family over 3 years. Market value, $42,735. Here are the loans I gave Finn during my first 2 years of practice when I could barely make rent. $16,450. Still unpaid. Finn's face contorts. You said those were gifts. I said we'd figure it out later. It's later. Dad's businessman mask slips for the first time. You can't possibly expect repayment after all you've what? I cut him off. Voice level but firm. After you missed my doctoral hooding ceremony for Finn's sorority fundraiser. After you told Dr. Reynolds I was playing at business until I found a wife. After you dismissed my workshop opening as just another job. I place my palms flat on the table, studying myself. These are my terms for any future relationship. First, my business decisions are mine alone. No input. No suggestions. No contacts with my colleagues. Second, any services for family will be billed at standard rates. Third, no more describing yourselves as partners or owners in my business. Mom's artificial composure crumbles, tears welling in her eyes. Genuine ones this time, not the performance drops she typically deploys. You can't mean this. She whispers. We're family. Family respects boundaries, I answer. Family celebrates achievements instead of trying to claim them. Dad's face darkens with frustration. This is absurd. We never thought you'd actually succeed on your own. We were trying to help secure your future. The truth slips out so easily, so naturally that he doesn't even seem to realize what he's admitted. After all these years, all my work, all my sacrifices, they never believed in me. Finn's carefully constructed mask falls completely. It's not fair. He hisses. You get everything. The respect. The fancy title. The business. What about me? I'm stuck in a cubicle while you play hero in your precious workshop. There it is, the raw envy beneath the manipulation. The resentment beneath the charm. I close my portfolio with a decisive snap and stand. I built everything I have while supporting this family emotionally and financially. I'm not playing at anything. And I'm done being invisible. I leave exact change for my coffee on the table and walk away. Behind me, I hear Mom's quiet sobs. Dad's harsh whisper to Finn. The scraping of chairs. But I don't look back. For the first time in my life, I'm moving forward without checking if they approve. The weight of their expectations falls from my shoulders with each step. And I walk into the sunlight, standing taller than when I arrived. I stand at the picture window of my expanded workshop, watching the afternoon light paint golden highlights across the Denver skyline. 1 year has passed since that fateful Sunday dinner. And the view before me mirrors the transformation within. Dr. Bennett, your 3 o'clock is ready. Melissa, my lead artisan, appears at my side, clipboard in hand. It's Mrs. Abernathy's final session. Perfect timing. I smile. Genuine warmth spreading through my chest. The waiting room bustles with activity, a stark contrast to the cramped space where I began. Now, clients sit in comfortable chairs beneath framed community service awards that have joined my original business license on the wall. The waiting list for new builds stretches 2 months out, a testament to the reputation we've built. Mrs. Abernathy, an elderly woman with bright eyes and a spine curved from decades of hard work, beams as I enter the treatment room. There he is, she announces to no one in particular. The miracle worker himself. I laugh, setting her chart aside. The miracle was your dedication to the at-home exercises. Nonsense. She waves a weathered hand. My grandson says you're the best in Denver. And that boy researches everything. As I guide Mrs. Abernathy through her final stretches, I catch my reflection in the treatment room mirror. The tight shoulders and defensive posture that once characterized my stance have softened. I stand taller now, grounded in my worth. Later, I welcome 3 new graduates to my mentorship program. They gather around the conference table, eyes bright with the same determination that once fueled my midnight study sessions. The most important thing I can teach you isn't a technique. I tell them, perching on the edge of the table. It's knowing your value. In this profession, you'll give constantly. Make sure what you're giving is respected. After they leave, I review the latest figures for our pro bono program serving underserved artists. The initiative now comprises 15% of our practice, a percentage that would have terrified me last year, but now fills me with purpose. My phone buzzes with a text from Leah, my closest friend and leader of our professional men's support group. Ready for tonight? Your turn to share. A flutter of nervousness dances through my stomach. Tonight marks the first time I'll publicly share my full journey. Family struggles included. The thought both terrifies and liberates me. Before leaving, I check my personal email. Mom has sent photos of her volunteer work at the community garden, her third message this week that doesn't demand anything from me. Small steps, but genuine ones. Dad's name remains absent from the sender list. Some wounds need more time than others. A separate email contains a job announcement from Finn. His first position at a corporate office with no connection to my workshop. The message lacks his usual excessive exclamation points, a subtle sign of his growing independence. The evening sun casts long shadows as I arrive at Leah's home for our monthly dinner. Unlike my parents' dining room with its oppressive formality, this space hums with authentic conversation. My chosen family of colleagues and friends pass dishes family style, their laughter a healing balm. To Leo, Melissa raises her glass. Who taught us all that standing your ground isn't selfish, it's necessary? As applause ripples around the table, I think of the scholarship I've established for young artisans from challenging backgrounds, the boundary-setting workshop I'll lead next month, and tomorrow's launch of our specialized restoration program. When dinner concludes, I step onto Leah's back porch. The mountains rise majestically against the horizon, steadfast and immovable, much like the boundaries I've learned to maintain. You look peaceful, Leah says, joining me. I am. I breathe deeply. I finally understand that I can heal my patients without sacrificing myself in the process. Tomorrow, I'll repair an elderly man's guitar with the same care I once lavished on family members who took without gratitude. The difference is, he'll look me in the eye and say, "Thank you," and I'll know I've been seen. I'm Leo Bennett. I whisper to the mountains. And I build for people who value the craft.